Welcome to the video tutorial for completing the assignment Whitewater Payroll. By this time, if you have the link, you have probably been out to Classroom and opened up the directions, which leads you to the link, and then you have these directions. There is a paper copy of these directions available from your teacher if you would like them. And so this tutorial will walk you through every step of the project. If you want to skip around and like you get down to a certain step, you can only watch the video for just that one step. That would be fine. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing you got to do is download the Whitewater file in Google Classroom and then move the file to your Excel folder. So let's head back to Classroom. And there it is, the download the Whitewater file that you need, and there it is. So remember, we don't work on this as a Google Sheets assignment. So you're going to click your three dots up in the corner, open in a new window. It's going to kind of look the same, but then you now have the ability to hit the download arrow. And it'll come down here into the corners as soon as that little circle goes away. You can do Show in Finder, and it will highlight it right here for you. Whitewater Payroll, download this file. Now you can drag and drop it. I'm just going to copy mine, and then I'm going to find my computer application folder, and in my Excel folder, I will paste this document in. Okay, and then I can go ahead and double click it and open it right up into Excel. So remember, at any point that you need to stop this video to take more time to do a step, you certainly can do that. This copy of the directions is yours, so if you want to cross stuff off by using a highlighter or a fill color, you certainly can do that as well. I think we got the assignment open. Yep, this is it. This is what it looks like. And it's going to change a lot. There are a lot of steps. Highly encourage you to save and save often as any point in the completing this assignment that you want. And so we just got done with step number 1. Step number 2, we're going to rename the sheet tab to Whitewater and color it green. So here's the tab down here. You want to right click it and rename it, and you want to call it Whitewater. And then they said to color the tab, so that would be a right click, tab color, and I guess it doesn't matter what shade of green, and there you go. You got a tab at the bottom that is colored in green. And again, you can just do Command S and you can save this whenever you want. So that should take care of on the directions, step number 2. Step number 3 is just kind of informational. At this point, do not do any formatting of the document. Leave all the columns at the size they are. All formatting will be done later. Okay, so if you look at it, you're tempted to like auto fit and do stuff like that. Don't do that. Some directions will come up later, and you're going to want to make sure that you haven't done that. So the first big part that we're going to do, starting with step number 4, is we're going to just put in all the formulas in the spreadsheet. Okay, so in this column, it will tell you that your cursor needs to be in cell F4. And we're going to put in the formula, determine the gross pay. We'll fill the formula down to cell F9. The formula for gross pay is this that you see here, rate times hours. And you have to remember to start with that equal sign. So back on the spreadsheet, we want to put our cursor in cell F4. So that would be this one right here, gross pay. And the formula we type in is equal. And I'm just going to do the kind of point and click. Rate is back here at 1675. So I'm just going to click on it and it'll put that C4 right in my formula for me. Multiply is a shift of the 8. And then the hours is the 40.25. So there's my formula. C4 minus D4. I press enter. And if you get that number 674.1875, you're on the right track. Put your cursor back on cell F4 and fill the formula down to row number 9. So now you should have a bunch of numbers that look like mine. Okay, so step 4 is done. Step number 5, we're going to put our cursor in cell G4. We're going to put in the formula to determine the amount of Social Security, and then fill this formula down to G9, and the formula is listed there as gross pay times 6.2%. So G4 is right here. Type in your equal sign. I'm going to come back and click on my gross pay number, which is going to give me an F4 in my formula. Got to go back to that time sign and then type in 6.2 and then the percent sign. Enter. You should get that number that I have. Then you go back to cell G4, take the black plus sign in the corner and fill down to row number 9. And there you have a bunch of numbers done for step number 5. Step number 6 is to put your cursor in cell H4 and put in the formula for the retirement amount, and then fill that formula down to cell H9. So the formula you can see on the directions is 0.03 times the gross pay. So we're going to find cell H4. We're going to click on that equal sign. We're going to type in the 0.03. We're going to multiply that by that gross pay again. Press enter. And then fill that formula down to row 9. So that will take care of step number 6. Step number 7 is to fill out the formula for total deductions. You can see that this formula is the Social Security plus the retirement numbers. So put your cursor in I4. There's I4. There's your equal sign. The Social Security number is right here in G4. You need to add in the retirement, which is in H4. So you got G4 plus H4. Enter and fill down. Again, if this is too fast for you, stop the video, rewind the video, replay it. Take as much time as you want. Step number 8. Step number 8. Put in the formula to determine the net pay, and then fill it down. And the formula is the gross pay minus total deductions. So you need to have your cursor in cell J4. Put your cursor in J4, put in this formula, and fill it down. There's my equal sign. I'm going to go back and get my gross pay. I'm going to subtract my total deductions. Enter. And fill down to row 9. Whoops, so I'm going to go one more time. There we go. I would do a Command S and save it now. Step number 9. With your cursor in cell F10, put in the formula to add the total of all gross pay. Okay, and then fill this formula in, or fill this formula over to cell J10. Okay, so we're going to put our cursor in cell F10, right there. And you can always tell up here too if you're on the right track. Yep, my cursor's in cell F10. All right, and it just says to put in the formula to add up the total. So that means we got to wander over here to auto sum, that button right there, hit the drop down. Do we want sum, average, count, max, or min? Well, we want to add up, and that would be sum. So you choose sum, and then you look at the range. Do I want F4 to F9? That dotted line highlights my range. That's the correct formula, so I simply press enter. Now the directions said I have to fill this over to J10, and did you notice that it did it for me? It's kind of smart, isn't it? So yeah, it filled it all the way over to J10, which is exactly where I wanted it to go. Step number 11, with your cursor in cell, is that the right one? Oh, I went too far. How about step number 10? Okay, put in the formula to determine the average rate for all the employees, and make sure the range is for employees only. That's kind of important. Okay, put in a formula to determine the average rate for all the employees. So you need to put your cursor in cell C11. So there's C11. Okay. And so what I want to do is I want to put a formula in there that's going to average all of my numbers. Okay. And so back over here, drop down, average. Now, if you look at this range, the dotted box, it's going to go from C4 to C10, which is not correct. The total cell there doesn't have any number in it. So it actually stops at row 9 with Phyllis Wren. See that? Now there's a couple ways to do this. I'm just going to re-highlight, and I'm going to stop on row number 9. So my formula is average, and then the range is C4 to C9. I press enter, and you should get that number that you see there, right? Then clicking on C11, I need to fill that all the way over. Going to take me a couple tries at it. All the way over to J11. There it is. And I'm just going to do Command S, and I'm going to save that. Okay. Again, you can look to see what I've got. If you need more time to do something, stop the video and then pick it back up. Step number 11. Put in the formula to determine the lowest rate for all employees. Again, make sure this is only the range for employees and do not include the average rate in this formula. And then fill that over to J12. Okay, so here's the cell I need to be in, C12. So see, when I put the formula in, I don't want to use this 22.46667 as a possibility to be the lowest. So I may have to make sure for the employees it will only be this amount, okay? Just the employees, not the blank cell and not the average. So my cursor is in cell C12. I want the lowest. I want to know which person is being paid the smallest amount of an hourly rate. So that means I have to pick min for minimum, lowest. And I click that. And look what it did. It just gave me that for my range, C11. That's not even close to what I want. So I'm going to highlight my 1675 down to my 27. Now I got my range correct, C4 to C9. I press enter. And then I'm going to click on that 1375, and I'm going to fill it all the way to the right. And then I'm going to Command S and save it. That's a lot of numbers, and we aren't done, but you're on the right track. Step number 12. Now put a formula in to determine what the highest rate of pay is for all employees. And again, do not include the average and the lowest numbers. We need to go to cell C13. So here is cell C13. So when I put this formula in, again, I only want the numbers for the employee. I don't want to put average in there, and I don't want to put the lowest in there. I want to know who gets paid the most money. These two numbers don't correspond with people, only the people. So back over here, if you want the highest rate, that would be max for maximum. And again, it tries to help you out with the formula. It's not right. So you're the person that's in charge. So get that range selected for the employees only. That'll give you the max function with the range of C4 to C9. And you enter on that. And then you take that 32.5 and you fill that all the way over to the right hand. What is that? J13, is that what we're shooting for? And there you go. And I'm going to Command S, and I'm going to save that. Step number 13. We're going to go to cell B15, and we're going to put in a formula to determine how many employees this payroll was prepared for. This is the actual formula that you're going to use. And if you get a 0, you did it wrong. Okay? So I need to put my cursor in cell B15, which is right here. Okay? So instead of typing in that formula of count C4 to C9, let's just go over here, hit the drop down again, and there's count numbers. And then you highlight, not this stuff, because these are not employees. These are your employees. So again, C4 to C9, and enter. And so you have a payroll here for 6 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, these are not people. So how many employees are getting paid? The answer to that is 6. And I'm going to do Command S, and I'm going to save that. Now, you should have all the formulas done. Step number 14. So moving on here, we will be only like doing formatting for our document. Okay? So the first thing we have to do is we have to highlight that range that is listed there, A1 to J1, and do the merge and center, and do all the font for Britannic, bold, size 36, a green font, and a light blue fill color. Okay, so let's go back and highlight A1 to J1. A1 to J1. There's our merge and center. Yep, merge and center. My font is Britannic, so I'm going to hit this drop down right here on the font. I'm going to start typing mine because it'll be faster. Oh dear, I got the beach ball of death. There it is. So if I go up here and I type it in, I can get it. I'll delete it. B-R-I, there it is. T-A, there it is. I don't even have to type the whole thing. Britannic, I'm going to press enter. So I have the Britannic font. Now I need to change it to a bold. I need it to be size 36. I need the font color to be a green. Let's go with a little bit of a darker green. And the fill color, that's the paint bucket, needs to be a light blue. Now you'll notice it doesn't fit, but don't worry. We're just going to move on to the next step. Step number 15 is going to have us change the height of row 1 to be a size of 40. So that's going to solve your problem. So over here where the 1 is, you can right click, row height, and then type in your 40. And there you go. Now you should be able to see all of your text. Row 16. Change the format of the date. That's going to be in cell A2 to be the traditional look of you have a month, a date, and a year. So there's an example is that we want it to look like this. Okay? So back over here, there's cell A2. You see that date? Yep. That's not the format that we want. So you're going to come up here to where it says custom, and you're going to look for something. There's a short date, but that's abbreviated. Don't want that. There's a long date. Ooh, I don't want the day of the week in front of it. So none of that really works for me, does it? Okay. So if you come back over here to A2 and you right click on cell A2, you should find something called Format Cells. And you're going to click on that. Now in this box on the left-hand side, you're going to choose the category of a date. On the right-hand side, you will see all these different kind of date formats. Now remember what the directions said, the month spelled out, the day, and a 4-digit year. So this is close, but it has Wednesday in front of it. So that's not what we want. And by the way, these are sample dates. They aren't today's date. Here's your date. So we got to start looking at this. Oh, there it's spelled out, but a 12. That's not what we want. Oh, there it is right there. March 14, comma, and a 4-digit year. So you click on that March 14, comma, 2012. There it is. Look at your sample. Month, day, 4-digit year. So you found the right format. So you click OK. All right. Now, when you look at your document, okay, you're going to see these dollar signs or these number signs. We're going to address that in the next step. Okay. Step number 17. You're going to go to column A and you're going to auto fit the column, and that will tell you how to get rid of those number signs. While you're there, this just basically means that the cell is not wide enough to accommodate for the text. So if you come up here between the A and the B and do a double click with that 2-headed arrow, now that is wide enough, and now the number signs all go away and you can actually see the entire date. Whoops, I don't want to scroll yet. There we go. Okay. Step number 18 will happen on A2 to J2. Merge center, Britannic font, bold, size 20, font color yellow, fill color that light blue. And we're going to try to keep the same light blue we did previously. So we got to go with A2 to J2. So you have your selection, and now you want the font Britannic. Now, when you hit this drop down, you probably know this, Britannic is now in your recent fonts. So it shouldn't take you long to find it. We want to bold it. We want to change the font size to 20. The color of the font needs to be yellow. And the fill color, hopefully that light blue. I'm always picking the third one from the top so I know which one I have. And again, you see it doesn't fit, but we're going to keep reading our directions, and I'm pretty sure the directions will have us fix that. Step number 19, sure enough, change the height of row 2. So right click on that 2, row height, and the number you want to type in is 30. And that should have solved that height problem. Step number 20 is select row 3, all of it, and bold all of it. So here's row number 3. If I just click on that 3, I've selected all of that row. And now I can add the bold to that. Step 21 is to select A4 to A17 and bold all of that. A4 to A17. No, it says 17, so don't do line and column. We're going to hopefully those directions will be right. We'll bold it, and we'll cross that one off our list. Step number 22. Change the height of row 3 to 30. So this is row 3, and you should now know that that's a right click, row height 30, and okie dokie. Step 23. With your cursor in B3, put the text on 2 lines. Split it between the words date and employed. Use the Option plus the Enter key, and we've done this before in previous assignments. So here's cell B3, and up in your formula bar you can see date employed. So I'm going to click in front of that E. I'm going to hold down the Option key. I'm going to tap my Return or Enter key. Don't worry that we lost date up here. It's down here, so we're good. Now just do a regular Enter, and that should take care of it. There it is, date employed. Now I know you can't see it all up here. If you expand your formula bar, you actually then can see it, okay? But you don't have to expand your formula bar if you don't want to, okay? So again, you put your cursor in front of the E of employed, you do your Option, Return or Enter, regular Enter, and you have a 2-line entry, okay? I'm going to move my formula bar back, okay? Step 24. Put this text on 2 lines in cell I3. So over here is I3, total deduction. So again, you have 2 words, so I click right in front of the D of deductions. Option, Return or Enter, let up, and then just a regular Enter. And lo and behold, it went to 2 lines. Step number 25, format all dates in B4 to B9. This time you want the date style of a short date, but you want a 4-digit year, okay? So let's find B4 to B9. There it is. Sure enough, there's a bunch of dates there. We want the short date style, but with the 4-digit year. So if you come up here to custom and go back, see here's a short date style, but that's a 2-digit year. That's not going to get us what we want. And we know we don't want the long date, okay? So none of these are going to work for us. So at the bottom, did you see what I did? You come down here and you click on More Number Formats. So you pick the date category. We've been here before on the left. So we want the short date, okay? But we want it to be a 4-digit year. Now, can you remember what short date looked like when we looked at it? So it's going to be like, we want it to be the month, like this would be January. And then we want a 1, a 5, and then we want this to be a 4-digit number. Okay? Want it to be like a 1, a 5, and then 2013. So this is close, but it's not right because that's a 2-digit year. We need to find a 4-digit year. There it is. 3/14/2012. Okay, so you click on that. That's the short date, but a 4-digit year. Click OK, and there it is. All those dates are now formatted. I'm just going to do Command S because I've done a lot of work and I want to make sure I keep it. That step is done. Step number 26. From A3 to J3, we want to change the vertical and horizontal alignment of our text. Vertically, which is the up and down, we want it in the middle. And horizontally, we want the text in the center. So your range is A3 to J3. A3 to J3. So up here, this is where you're normally doing your centering at. This is the horizontal center text that's in the directions. And when you click it, you can see like the word employee and rate and hours and everything else will go right to the center. But we're going to add a different center, and that's the top and bottom. So if you look at the word rate right now, you see there's that blank space above it, hours and dependents. So right here where you did the center at, go up to this set of centering. And if you do the middle alignment, this button, it'll put the word rate and hours, dependence, and everything in the middle of the document. Okay? And so that is what you want to do for that step. All right, step number 27. Highlight E4 to E13. E4 to E13. And you're going to want to center that. Okay? So E4 to E13. Right there. And now we're just doing not this type of center, just the regular center that you know. Center your text. Step 28, on the C4 to C13 range, add a $ using the accounting style. And we've done this before too. So from C4 to C13, C4 to C13, accounting, that's going to be just the regular, this button right here, accounting number format. You just click it, and all those numbers that are highlighted will now have a $ in front of them. Step number 29, D4 to D13, the numbers there need 2 decimal places. So D4 to D13, these numbers need 2 decimal places. Some of them already have 2, some don't have any. Some have 1. We want them all to have 2. So here's your increase and decrease decimal. If you hover over the one, the arrow to the left is the increased decimal. Well, we need to have more decimals. Not all of them, but we got to start somewhere. So let's click it one time, increase. Now you'll notice that these numbers all have 3 decimals. Well, that's, at least they're all the same. So now let's just click decrease decimal one time, and there you go. They now all have 2 decimal places. Step number 30. The numbers from E4 to E13, they need 1 decimal place. So from E4 to E13, 1 decimal place. Now I already got this 3.5 with 1, but we got to get them all the same somewhere at some point. So let's just increase the decimal. Oh, look at that. Holy cow, we got a whole bunch. But then we just start taking them away until, and maybe that didn't happen to you, but it happened to me. So I'm just going to then decrease my decimal until I get my number 1. Step number 31 is back to that accounting style format. F4 to J13. F4 to J. Ooh, this is going to be a big section. There we go. F4 to J13. So now I click my $ up here, accounting format, click it, and that gives me all those, that money section now all has the $ on it. Step number 32, auto-fit the width of every column. Okay, so I believe we've already done A, but we can double click. Nothing happens, so then it's probably already in auto-fit. If you double click B, oh, it's moved just a little. If you double click C a little bit, double click D and E, yep. Then between E and F, do F and G, there you go. G and H, there you go. Then H and I and J, and at the end of J. That's it. Step number 33, change the row height of 11 to 25. Okay, we've done that many times, so here's 11. I'm going to do the right click. There's other ways to do it. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to go with row height right here, type in my 25, and I have mine done. Step 34. From A3 to J9, you want to apply a sort. Okay? You want to sort by employee name and do it in alphabetical order. Okay? Now, we've practiced sort before, but let's give it a try. And if at first we don't succeed, we'll try again. Okay? So highlight from A3 to J9. So here's A3, and here is J9. Notice I'm not taking all the numbers. Totals don't get sorted, just the employees. Now, I'm taking these headings of these rows so that I can determine, I don't want them sorted, but I want to make sure that they stay up there, okay, and that they don't do anything, okay? And so we're going to come up to the data menu, and we're going to find this sort, Z right here, S-O-R-T, sort. You click it. All right, we want to sort by the employee name. Now notice, my list has a header. My list has headers. Yep, they have headers at the top of the column. So even though we highlighted them, it took them away. So if we take this check mark off, then that means this information could get sorted in and amongst that word employee, and all this stuff will get sorted together. We don't want that. So we're going to go, my list has a header row, so it eliminates it from your sort. Okay? We want to sort it by employee name. A to Z is alphabetical order. We highlighted all our information, and then we click OK. And there you have it. Bernard is first. H, H, J, S, W. So that is your alphabetical order. Step number 35 is to do conditional formatting. Any employee's net pay that is lower than $700, we need to format it as, and remember, do not use the paint bucket. We want to format it as a font color, dark green, bold italics, a border that is red dotted as an outline, and a fill color of that light blue. So let's head back to the spreadsheet, and let's highlight from J4 to J9. Sets the net pay. You're going, well, why didn't we take total and average? Because they're not employees. Again, we have 6 employees. And these are the numbers that we're going to do conditional formatting on. So if we go to the Home tab, about past halfway, there's conditional formatting. We're going to highlight our cell rules. So now we got to read our directions again. Any net pay that is lower than 700, that would be less than. So you choose less than, and then we have to fill in this box. Any cell that is less than, and what did we say the number was? 700. You don't have to put the $sign on it, just the number. Format it with, and none of these fit what we want. So we have to do custom. All right? Up across the top, there was nothing to format in terms of the number, so we skip that and we go to font. In terms of the font color, we want a dark green. So right here, I'm going to pick this dark green. And then we want it bold and italic, so I can choose this one. The next formatting we want is for the border. The border color is going to be red. We want some kind of a dotted line. You can choose this one or this one, either one. And then you want it as an outline. So as long as you can see the red here, then you're good to go. Then the fill for this cell needs to be a light blue. All right, and so when I click OK, I should have, this is my format, and then I click OK another time. And if you look carefully, I'm going to click off the cell You should have 3 cells that have that conditional formatting on. Step 36. We need to add some borders to A1 to J2. Red, a thick, solid outline. So we got to highlight from A1 to J2. Okay, so here's your border button. None of these will work right now because we can't just do thick or we won't get red. So let's go just down to more borders. Okay, we want the color of red. We want a line style that is thick, so that's going to be on the right side. These are thicker. And just a solid line. We don't need dashes or dots. Looks like it's going to be this one. And then we want to do it as an outline. So there's what it's going to look like. And you click OK. And then when you click off the cell, you can see what you got. Step number 37. From A4 to J4, put another border on. Looks like it's the same thing. Red, thick, solid line, but this time it goes on the top only. So you have to highlight that A4 to J4. A4 to J4. Okay, back here to the border button. More. We know what we want. We want the red, the thick line, but we only want it on the top. And then you just simply click OK, click off, and there you go. If you have a border that looks like that, I'm going to save my document. You are on the right track. We need one more border. Step 38, highlight A10 to J10. And then another red border, but this time it looks like it's going to be a thick dash or thick dots, only on the top, and then on the bottom, just a double line. So we got a couple things we have to do. So let's get our A10 to J10 highlighted. Oh, that's the total. Okay, back up to the borders, more. So let's do the red. And let's do the thick dashes or thick dots. I'm just going to pick this one. That looks good to me. Okay. And then that is only going to go on the top. And then pick the line style of this double line right here and put that at the bottom. So there you got the dotted or dashed at the top, double line at the bottom. Both of them are red. You click OK. I'm going to click off that range, and there you go. It is all done for the borders. Step number 39 has to deal with those spark lines we practiced the other day if you were in class. So we want to create a spark line style of a line. We want that line to be based on the gross pay for the employees. So here's the gross pay for the employees. Again, it's just these 6 cells. Now, before we start, you can see that we want to put this in cell B18. So we want a gross pay spark line. The style is a line. And this is where we want this spark line to go. So you're going to highlight the 6 gross pay numbers. That would be F4 to F9. And then we're going to go on the Insert tab down here to Spark Lines and choose Line because that's the style we want. We already have our range in there. Now all we have to do is say where we want it to go. You can either type in B18 or you can click B18. I'd click. See that? And then you click OK. and you're going to get that fancy little line that looks like that. It's actually a chart, but it's just condensed and it all fits in one cell, and it only is these numbers, the numbers that were there from F4 to F9. If one of these numbers were to change, that would also change the way that that line looks. And then we're going to do in cell B19 another spark line. This is going to be the column style, but it's again going to be based on the gross pay amount for the employees. So that means gross pay right here again. I'm going to highlight mine again. I'm going to come back to insert and find spark lines and column. So I have my range right. And again, I suggest you just click on that B19 cell so you don't have to type those dollar signs. That's where I want it to go. And when I click OK, I'll see those little tiny columns start to appear. And again, if I were to change any numbers here, any of these numbers were to change, these two lines would redraw themselves, or the columns would change their height. Okay. Step number 41. You want to make sure that the document is on landscape. If it's not, we have to change it to landscape. So, under page layout, orientation, landscape. Oh, mine's already on landscape, so that step is done. 42, step number 42, make sure that the document fits on one page. If not, something's wrong and you need to fix it. So, back on your spreadsheet, I like to do Command P, even though I'm not going to print, Command P print, and I can look at this preview. And right here, it tells me 1 of 1. I'm on one page. If yours says 1 of 2 or 1 of 3 or anything else, then there's a mistake and we got to go back and you got to fix it. So I'm just going to cancel mine. I don't want it to print. And I'm going to save my document. All right. Step 43. In cell A21, put your name and your period number in this cell. So right here, put your name, first and last, and then what period you have class. Step number 44. Compare your spreadsheet with the one that is shown on the next page in the directions. So that's this one right here. If yours does not look like that, you probably need to fix that. Anything that doesn't look right, like I can tell right now, April 2 does not look right. We must have missed a step. I think we got to do a merge and center. You might have noticed that when we were doing that, and I didn't do it. So from A2 to J2, back on the Home tab, merge and center. There you go. That looks better. Okay. So again, if there's anything else that you need to fix, you would want to fix that before moving on. Okay. Step number 44. We need to make a chart. All right. In the chart, we have to include the employee name, the Social Security amounts, and the retirement amounts for the employees. It's just the employees. Okay. So that means you have to highlight these names. In fact, we're going to highlight from A3 down to A9, okay, because we want to be able to label that. And then use your control key, I'm hoping. Social Security, ooh, it wasn't the control key. Do you remember how to do non-adjacent highlighting? How about the command key? Social Security, yep. And retirement and the numbers. So to stop and look, I took A3 to A9, I held down the command key, went to do Social Security, numbers, and retirement. So make sure you have the right information selected. Step 45, we're going to create a clustered column. We'll be able to find that in the recommended chart selection. So insert recommended clustered column right here, and you just select it. Step number 46, move the chart to a new sheet named deductions. Don't copy and paste. You have to click the button that moves the sheet. That's right up here. Move chart. Mark the dot for new sheet, and the name of the new sheet is deductions. Doesn't matter if it's capital D or not. And then you click OK dokie. And there, this is what yours should look like. Can't see any spreadsheet or anything like that. Step 47, the title needs to be labeled as deductions, and then format it to have a blue font and a bold and a size 24. So right here, you just double click, that opens up that box. You can go in there and highlight your text and type the word deductions. This capital letter probably matters. From home, you do bold. You want size 24. And you want the font color of blue. I'm going to kind of pick a darker blue. There you go. That looks right. Now remember, when you save it, it saves both of these tabs, okay? Saves both of them. Step number 48, add the axis title primary horizontal. Type in the text for it to be named employee, format it with blue, bold, and size 16. Okay? Remember, AXIS, not AXES. So we need chart elements, which is not here. So we're going to need to go to, probably have to click on our charts. There it is. Now we got chart design. So if you don't see chart design, it's probably because you're not on your chart for a selection. So I just click here somewhere on the chart. Chart design shows up. I'm on chart design. Here we go. Add chart element. AXIS, not EX. Axis. We want the primary horizontal. It's going to come in down here. I'm going to double click inside that to select all the text. I'm going to type the word employee. I'm going to select my text. I'm going to put the bold on it. I'm going to do the size 16. And I'm going to pick that shade of blue that I was picking earlier. Let's see what we got. Yeah, look at that. Got it. I'm going to save my document. We need to do the next step, 49, which is another axis title on the vertical axis. It's going to be labeled amount with the same kind of formatting, the blue, the bold, and the size 16. So chart design, if your chart design is not available, again, that's because you might not have, like if you click over here, see it went away. I got to click somewhere in this white area, chart area. There we go. Chart design is now up. I click it, come back to my chart element, axis titles vertical. There it is, it pops in. Oh, you get to type sideways. This is always fun. I'm going to double click inside the cell. That'll select all the text. I want to type amount. I want to select all my text and go back to that bold. I want that size 16, and I want that font color that I had earlier. There it is. I'm going to save it because I'm proud of my work and I don't want to lose anything. All right, step number 50. Leave the legend. Leave it at the bottom. And it has to say, make sure it says Social Security and Retirement, not Series 1 and 2. Okay, let's go back and look. Legend is at the bottom. Oh, yeah, ours says Social Security and Retirement. So if you followed along with me, you did it right. If you did not do it right, I would suggest that you go back and watch the step number 44. You did not select the correct information. Okay, take you back to step number 44. Okay, you don't know, we're close. Step number 51. Compare your chart with the completed chart on the next page. If it doesn't match, you need to fix your chart before moving on. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Okay, so this is what it should look like. Deductions, amount, employee, blue, all that. Blue and purple, orange lines, not purple. Social Security and retirement. Let's see. Yep, for sure. We did it. Save your spreadsheet. And then how it gets turned in is determined by your teacher, so you'll have to wait for that instruction. But if I go back here and I click on my deductions tab, I got my chart. If I click on Whitewater, click on a cell to lose all your highlights, I do Command S and I save it. That thing is ready to be turned in. All right. Hope you have a good assignment there to turn in.